Hi there, everyone. I'm Petra. I'm a life coach and an advocate for survivors of narcissistic and emotional abuse. Thank you again for tuning in. Before we go any further, I would just like to make a quick announcement that, and especially to the American viewers, is that this coming Saturday, the 7th of October, I've been asked to be a guest speaker on a radio show in Baltimore, Maryland, and that will be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will be discussing mental health issues. So I'm very honored, and of course it is my pleasure to appear on the show. So it would be great if for those of you who are able to tune in this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and listen in on the Couch Radio. Today I wanted to speak on mind control, how the narcissist uses mind control. And, mind control is the systematic influencing of an individual. And by the systematic influencing, at some point it will disrupt your whole identity, the whole core of who you are. This is what mind control does. I think oftentimes we confuse mind control with brainwashing. To just give two definitions of that, brainwashing is in fact when the victim or the target realizes that the abuser is the enemy, but in order to protect their lives, in order to protect themselves, they will conform to the wishes of the abuser. So to give you an example of this, I'm very interested in the Second World War and what went on there with Hitler, the Nazis, and the assassination of so many Jews and Polish people, gypsies. I'm very fascinated by that, and I took a trip to Auschwitz a few years ago just to get that. I just wanted to see it with my own eyes, because sometimes when you hear these stories, you just do not realize, you cannot grasp the whole trauma of that era. And I went down and I walked among the barracks, and I'm sure many of you, or maybe several of you have been there to visit Auschwitz. But it is just, I had to see it from my own eyes, the clothing, the hair that was taken from the women, the gas chambers, this whole, there is, when you walk through those gates of Auschwitz, you can still feel, the depression, you can feel the fear, the anger, the hurt, the oppression. It is that atmosphere is still there. It is very heavy. And it just, that's what I'm trying to explain here. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Is that those who were in these concentration camps knew that Hitler and his Nazis were the abusers. They knew they were the enemy. But in order to protect themselves, protect their loved ones, they conformed to the wishes of the Nazis and of Hitler. And, fortunately, many escaped. But so sadly, of course, as we now know, so many were murdered. But I can imagine, just also from watching all the, all the war movies, how you do conform to the wishes of your abuser. So you are being brainwashed, but of course your life is of more value to you, and that is why you will just go with the flow in those kinds of terrible, horrendous situations. That is the brainwashing. But if you look at mind control, which I know, of course, Hitler also implemented this as well into those that worked for him, into his country, into the minds of all of those who would listen to him. The mind control is very subtle, and it messes you up totally, because the abuser is considered a friend, a mother, a father, a lover, a co-worker. And this is why we do not this is what makes it so lethal, is that we are being controlled in such a subtle way by the narcissist, by a toxic person, that we are not onto it straight away because we consider them good people. So the victim will go about not defending themselves, but they will think that something is wrong with them. And they will be willing participants because we feel that the abuser has our best interests at heart. So this is how we are in complete mind control of the narcissist. And thank goodness, because we are healthy people, it gets to a point where we realize this. It could take years to come to this realization, but it is our given right, and it is something that you are really obligated to do when you realize that your mind is being controlled by this toxic person, is to, of course, go no contact. Remove yourself from further contamination. So I just wanted to take you through a few points of the mind control. And of course, this is what comes into every single video that is made of narcissism. It's the gaslighting, projection, it is the triangulation, all these different terms that we have given to the different levels of abuse. This is something that all of us here on YouTube speak about, all of those who speak on narcissism. But what is it really all about, the mind control? The narcissist feels that they have to control everyone and everything because this makes them feel good, because deep on the inside, they do not want to lose that control. They feel themselves that they have no control over their own lives. And this is why they feel that they have to control someone else, manipulate someone else, use mind control on someone else. So a few pointers I would like to go through is, when they live in fear of losing control, that is what leads to the abuse. So whatever good they see in you, they will do everything in their power to try and destroy that. And in some cases, sadly enough, they emotionally destroy you or get you really worn down. And of course, as I've spoken of before, it can get to the point where the target will take their own life because they don't know how to deal with that level of anxiety and stress. And this was, of course, in my family as well, where my brother-in-law committed suicide several years back at the hands of his mother. She was a very malignant narcissist. So the narcissist, the toxic person, will misrepresent your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your strengths, your talents. And they will misrepresent this to the point of absurdity, to the point of absolute craziness. They will invalidate you. They will guilt trip you when you dare to call them out, when you have the audacity to call them out, when you have the audacity to speak your mind, to speak your opinion, to voice the things that are hurting you emotionally. They will not step back and view your perspective. They will just continue to play these mind games, control your mind, and this is what keeps you off balance, because you will not see them as the abuser, as I've just said. You will see them as, they are considered these wonderful, warm people. And that is why we do not go about defending ourselves right from the get-go or protecting ourselves. Another thing that is also used with mind control is the destructive conditioning that the narcissist implements. And this destructive conditioning is by associating your strengths, your talents, with abuse and frustration for you. So when you look back, when coming out of a relationship, you will look back, you will hear a certain song on the radio maybe, and that will take you back to a memory with them. But it will also give you a terrible feeling because you will be thinking of that abuse again, thinking of the frustration. It also happens, I know that I went through a time of this, thank goodness I don't do that anymore, because it is so tiring. But when you are just out on the street and you see a car that resembles the make of the car that the narcissist drove, the same color car, the first thing you will do is check the inside to see who's sitting in the car, and then check the number plate, because it immediately sends you off into a panic, into a anxiety attack. So this is the destructive conditioning, is that whatever good times and good things that you saw when you were with them, when you get that flashback, you will immediately associate that with abuse. Another point is that they stress. The narcissist loves to stress how wonderful they are. This could be that they stress the fact that they are so trustworthy, or that they are full of integrity, or they are authentic, or they are honest or open. And they continue to stress this. Now, if you look at just regular healthy people, there is no need for you to stress this. You know, your actions will present your truth. So if you are full of integrity, if you are trustworthy, if you are honest, those will be presented through your actions, through your personality, and you will not have to keep reminding someone of how wonderful you are. So this is another way of how they control your mind. It's also the aggressive put-downs, you know, the aggressive jabs that you get, and they are disguised as jokes. So they will say something to you in a comical way, and if you are in a room with other people, the others will laugh because they will see the humor in it, but you will feel the jab. You will know that this is passive aggression when they make these little jabs at you disguised as a joke. They also make you angry about their behavior, you know, so they will continue to antagonize you to the point of where you explode. I know this happened to me in my experience. I just got to the point of, you know, with all these put downs, with all the control, with all the stuff that was said, stuff that was done, I just let it slide and let it slide. And it got to the point where I was at boiling point. And that is when I lashed out. So I got very angry. And of course, the narcissist loves this. He or she loves to see you in emotional distress because it feeds their ego. It supplies them with narcissistic supply. So every negative emotion is a reaction to a situation that we don't desire. And this emotion blocks our conscious actions. Because we get to the point where we are afraid of expressing emotions, afraid of expressing our feelings, because our reaction is an emotional response. And, you know, because it is emotional mind control, our response to the abuser in our lives is going to be very emotional as well. And this is what they thrive on. That is why it is best to go stonewalling, to go grey rock when you are interacting with them, when you are on to their behavior, on to their personality disorder. This is when you can go about just giving them silent treatment. Don't say too much, don't explain yourself, don't defend yourself, because then it will always be emotional, and this gives them more of an excuse to further abuse you. The projection of fear, because that is what a narcissist does. They project their fear, their emptiness onto you. And this is what is going to paralyze you. This is what is going to keep you weak. This is another method of mind control, where you feel as a target and as a victim. And this is what I felt in my narcissistic situations with ex-friends and an ex-lover, is that you will feel so paralyzed. You will get to a point where you realize that something is going on. You don't feel right about the relationship, about the friendship. You will feel that you'll have to break it off. But you will also be paralyzed by the fear that the narcissist projects onto you. And this is what keeps us in their grip. This is what keeps us in the relationship for so long. And even when the relationship has ended, you will still feel that fear. You know, when I just spoke of the destructive conditioning, where if you hear certain sort of music, certain type of music, a song, or you will see a car resembling theirs, or you will just get a scent of a perfume or an aftershave. And this, again, will paralyze us. We will feel the fear. This is where the anxiety comes into play. When we are confronted with these very controlling situations that we went through with the narcissist, and whatever brings it up, you know, when we talk about flashbacks, this is when, again, you will feel a certain amount of paralysis. So this is all still attached to them. This is the emotional bond that we still have with them in some cases. And it is an emotional bond that you can break at some point. It is not something that happens very quickly. But if you do your inner work and if you trust your process, trust the process of healing, that is when at some point you will be able to break that emotional cord that is keeping you tied to their mind as well. This is another form of mind control which continues, as so many of you know, even when the relationship has ended. And especially, of course, when you have children with a narcissistic ex-spouse or lover, is that you will continue to have these anxiety attacks whenever you hear their name, whenever you have to speak to them, even if it is about something trivial, you will feel that anxiety playing up again. So, you know, I've said before, when I spoke of this in the spirit of narcissism, is that it is a spirit. It is a spirit. And that is why we feel so emotionally connected to them. Can even be 2, 3, 4 years down the line after leaving them or after being discarded, is that we will still feel the strong pull. That is the mind control. And this is something, and of course, what adds to that is, you know, when you're going through the anxiety and the trauma, it is very stressful. This is what we all go through after the narcissistic breakup. But just know that you can heal from that. It does take time. It does take effort on your part. And don't beat yourself up about it when you feel that you should be over them by now because it's been 5 years. It is all a process, you know. It's of course easier when you had less of an attachment, maybe because it was a friend or because it was a co-worker. But of course, when the narcissist in your life is a parent or a sibling or someone whom you spent a large amount of your life with, then it does take longer because the flashbacks will be more intense, the trauma will be more intense, everything will be more intense. But just remember that this is the systematic influencing, and it is not your fault. It's never the victim or the target's fault that you have been subjected to this kind of abuse. But just know to hold yourself in high esteem, and you will recover from this. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to be back sometime this week and make more videos than I have been doing in the last couple of weeks. Once again, for those of you who'd like to tune in this coming Saturday on the Couch Radio, Baltimore, Maryland, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to speaking to you all soon. Take care of yourselves and see you all next time. Bye now.